Hello, and thank you for joining us on the Job Done Right podcast. Fall is here, which means hunters are turning their attention to the woods and fields as they think about deer season ahead. We have a couple guests today who will talk about food plots and provide a few hunting tips as well. We have retired University of Georgia Extension Director Lannie Lanier, who has become a regular guest on our podcast. We also have a newcomer in Stephen Meadows. Stephen is with Ragan Massey, and he holds a degree in horticulture from Clemson. He's based in South Carolina and is an avid hunter. Welcome back to the Job Done Right podcast. Lannie, great to see you again. And Stephen, first timer, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Well, today we're talking about fall food plots, and hunting season is well underway in a lot of places. For many hunters, food plots are pretty essential when it comes to hunting. So Stephen, let's start with you. What makes fall planted food plots so appealing, especially to deer?
Forage plants that are earlier in their growth stage, like you'll have in your food plot, are especially attractive to deer. It's more easily digestible and palatable because of the high sugar content. And then in the fall, your food plots are especially attractive in areas where row crops are present, because as those row crops, they start to brown out, that newly green food plot that you have will draw deer onto your property.
Okay, now what seed options are best for fall planting?
Yes, ma'am. Ragan Massey has a few options in our Plot Spike food plot blend line. The first product is our Plot Spike oats. Plot Spike oats can handle the early heat that you'll have when you plant during the early season. But then they also have great cold tolerance, which is needed for that late season growth. Our Plot Spike oats are big yielders. They're capable of producing 10,000 pounds of forage per acre, and which gives your deer plenty of forage to graze on. One of our other mixes is Forage Feast. Forage Feast is a half-acre blend. It's a 6-way blend of forage grains, clovers, peas, and brassicas, providing your food plot with plenty of variety and great palatability for your deer. And then our last mix is our Plot Spike Forage Complete. This is a 1-acre blend of grains, clovers, peas, brassicas, and chicory. And what makes this mix great is in the late spring, early summer, when your fall food plot, it starts to decline, the chicory is still going to be there for you to provide high protein forage through the rest of the year, keeping deer on your property.
Okay, now, Lannie, I know you have a lot of agronomic experience with your time with the Georgia Extension. What needs to be done when someone is preparing their land for a fall food plot?
Well, there's a great video on the Ragan Massey website about how to establish a food plot. And I said before, always spend your first dollar on lime. And there's a great video on one of the podcasts you can go back and review. It talks about fertilization, soil sampling. It talks about tillage if it's necessary. It talks about no-till, which I favor. I tend to favor no-till because it's so much easier. You don't have to have a lot of expensive equipment. And but lime and fertilize, those are the two things that you need to do. A lot of people go out, they spend a great deal of money on seed. They think seed is the magic answer. It's not. It's a complete package: lime, fertilizer, a good variety, good planting technique, and doing everything on time. And just to piggyback on what Stephen had just said, with some of those blended forage products that are available, you have a variety of forages that don't all come off at the same time. You've got some early season, then you got mid-season, and then some of those varieties don't come off until late season. What we see is that early in the season, October, November, December, and on into January, they do well. But then they start to play out. And then even after the season is over, in this part of the country, in March and April, is when they really, really need some supplementation. And a lot of those varieties that he mentioned will still be there on into the spring and give some extra nutrition before the crops come out that farmers plant, that the deer eat, and also the natural vegetation comes out. So some of those blended products are great for a long-term variety. And, a lot of nutrition as well.
Awesome. So now, once the food plots are in, what advice do you guys have when it comes to the hunt? We'll start with you, Lannie.
Well, first thing you want to do is be safe. And you want to get a copy of your state regulations that talk about the seasons and the limits and all those kind of things. And they are available. I've got some right here with me. And you want to be safe. That's the first thing, to be safe. And then you want to locate your stands. Mm-hmm. And you want to locate the stands in places, number one, where you think you're going to see deer. Put your trail cameras out, use your cameras, do your research, try to find where the deer are crossing and what times that they're coming. To locate the stands in areas where you have a good shot, mm-hmm. but where you can also be safe. Don't put them close to a residence or where you would be firing in the direction of a residence. If you're in an elevated stand, it's really a lot safer because you always fire downhill. The bullet always finds its way into the ground. You never want to shoot uphill. If you happen to miss and the bullet goes over the hill, you don't know where it goes. You want to be safe. Locate your stands in places where the wind is to your advantage, where you're not blowing your scent directly into where the deer would be coming from. And another thing that's often overlooked is set your stand where you don't face directly east or directly west, because if you're in the stand, you'll have the sun either coming up directly in your face or going down directly in your face. So you don't want to be due east or due west, just to keep the sun out of your eyes, because usually there may be a big buck that comes out and he's right in the sun, and you want to be able to see him. So locate your stands in good places and consider the wind and the sun.
Definitely. Stephen, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, yeah. One thing about those trail cameras, not only are they educational, but they're motivators. When you've got pictures of that big buck that you've been looking for, those pictures, give you that motivation to get up early and to sit longer. And that's something I wanted to talk about is, you spend all that time planting your food plots, hanging your stands, working your trail cameras. When you've got the time to be out there in the field, be ready to sit and put your time in. Not all the deer are just going to walk that hour in the morning, first thing in the morning or just before the sun goes down. They'll walk throughout the day. So the more time that you put into sitting, the better results you're going to get. And then also, again, safety is key. Put on your hunter's orange. So if there are going to be other people on the property hunting, they can keep tabs of where you are, and be mindful of the direction that you're shooting and what is behind the animal that you're trying to kill. Deer hunting is very popular. We've got millions of hunters hitting the woods every year. And so safety, you want to go home at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Well, great tips from both of you. Thank you guys so much for your time. We always appreciate it, and best of luck this hunting season.
All right. Thank you.
For more questions and answers about food plots and wildlife management, visit the advice section of RaganandMassey.com. You can also visit the Ragan and Massey channel on YouTube for dozens of informative videos. Make sure to subscribe to the Job Done Right podcast and tell your friends. If you have questions you'd like answered on the podcast, please let us know and share them with us through RaganandMassey.com or on social media. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Job Done Right podcast.